Hello everybody, just seeing over today. I'm going to attempt to explain to you negative space and why it's so important. This photo is a picture of one of my Facebook friends, and I want to thank Martina for letting me use it. Right. Negative space is basically these spaces here. And you see those bits there, and obviously the background. So the way we'd use it is, first of all, you'd want this kind of line. So you've got a centre line to work off, and somewhere where we can place that model on the drawing. Next, you see this space here, we'll add that in. And that should come up there actually. Now already we've got a little bit of the negative space here, this part here. So what I'll do is I'll use Martina's arm there. This might not be a perfect drawing, but it'll help explain why it's useful, why negative space is useful. If we come down here from this point, you can already see that actually that goes across there. Switch pencils. We've got one there, one by hand there, up in the armpit area, and that part of our arm. Now, this is important from my point of view for perspective drawing. And just put that in camera. What we're going to do is we're going to use these to measure different proportions of the body. So this one is, that one there is quite a good one to put in a straight line. Now we can work from that as well, because what we can do is use that arm there to put in that line, which is then going to give us the elbow area. If we measure that up, you have to measure it up in your own head. See, in your mind's eye. Excuse me if I go quiet, I had a couple of seizures yesterday and they might affect me today. Already affecting my voice. This part here as well, there's a line there you can measure to. Yeah, the shoulder is up here. One thing someone showed me on a art program, because I watch a lot of them, is basically drawing the arms like that. So you've just got this bit. It gives you other points to measure from. I'm not looking for it to be perfect, my head's just not in the right space. More to help explain. Now that has just helped with the backside. I don't know what you like to call it. That's everybody's personal choice, but you see there's a bit of a line there where the bone would be in a hand, so we'll put that in there. At this point I'd use the blunt pencil because it's easier to rub out. If you're using something like this, that is not so easy to rub out. So blunting that off with sandpaper or a nail file. And you'll see me putting a lot of these lines in. I call them perspective lines. Somebody asked me what they were once, and I don't draw like a lot of artists. I always use these lines because, like I explained with this negative space here, it's a good way of measuring it up from one point to another to see if in your mind's eye you've got it correct. And you can basically, from that piece of negative space, create the rest of the body. Which will be useful. So we've got shoulder there, we'll put in another perspective line there. There's another piece, two areas, that bit there. I think I might have already said this, and that bit there. Trouble with my brain, I say a lot of things and then forget. Is that correct or is that wrong? It's a good thing at this point we can get things wrong and take it out, fix it. With the hands, because I hate drawing hands, I'm not very good at it, but I've learnt that sticking lines like that where the knuckle joints are, that should actually come around a bit more. And then from this point you want them shaped better, so we'll look at this area there, and then that finger, is it the forefinger? It's usually somewhere else and you've got a bigger shape to it, so you have to measure that a little bit different. Come up and put that finger in. Does that look the right size? But now here we can see the belly. I'll put this line in here. It might not be the right place at the moment, but it's giving us some kind of perspective of how big the drawing will be. You see you've got that line there, we can now measure down that way. It's a good way of doing it. I don't, just like I said before, I don't want this perfect at the moment. Maybe not at all. This is just a explanation video. This is where this piece will come in handy again, because this line here, where the point is, we can stick that in there, and then we'll work out from that if we've got it correct. If not, we change it, and that's not right there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get a bit more of the torso in, going around to where the legs are. But these sort of perspective line, they're more a circular perspective line, but they're important because the body isn't flat, so it gives you some way to shade from. And then if we look at this point here, by Martina's hand down to here, is kind of like that. So we'll come exactly to here and do that. Now with Martina's fingers there, we can put in a line there that we can then measure where this other negative space is. Because it's only a small bit, but it's also very important because it's a way of mapping out the rest of the body. Hands, I'm not very good at hands. Knuckle joint there. A lot of it is guesswork, and if you get these bits here wrong, put in other ones, and it's difficult for some people because they can't take out one of these lines without sorry, my head's playing up, without seeing it from this perspective. I can, because I've had plenty of practice at doing it. If you throw yourself into it, you'll learn. I mean, one thing I'd say, if you're a total beginner, there is no bad drawing, because if you do what you would class as a bad drawing, you can then look at it afterwards and think, well, alright, I got that bit wrong, I got this bit wrong, that's what I need to change for the next drawing. Let's draw that more often, let's learn from it. I really don't like hands. It's the first thing I learned to draw at school, and I didn't learn very well. See where a thumb and forefinger are? Put a perspective line there. And this one you usually find is shorter than that one, but it all depends how the edge of them is splayed out. And what you can do when you've drawn it, you can look at this negative space, compare it, and like, for example, I need a sharper pencil there. That space there, if you can get that right, you can then measure from that point. And it's all just messing with the angles and getting it right in your mind's eye. Shouldn't be drawing with that one. Right, this leg here. As you go through your drawings as well, don't be afraid to put lines in all over the place. If it's with a blunt HB or a softer pencil like a 2B or softer, then it can be rubbed off easy enough. And especially if like this it's just a sketch, you're going to learn from it. You can use it afterwards in your next drawing and look at it and think, well, alright, that bit will come in useful for this. There's always a lesson to be learnt in every drawing you do. Always. And although people may critique a lot, I really don't like it, to be honest, but it can come in useful if you can take it at face value and realise that it's not meant nasty. It's when people look at your drawing and, oh, that's rubbish. There's just no point to that. Short being nasty. Now see this bit here, that is also a negative space, and I can see that this part of her leg is more shaped like that, and that line there should actually be a little bit harder, higher, not harder. And then we put a bottom of her leg in there. I'm not going to fit it all in, but that's okay. It's not too bad, is it? This line, piece of her arm here isn't perfectly straight, so we'll put a few lines in there. And this is where you'll see that as the drawing goes on, these lines will be useful because you can look at it from, like, I've got that line there and that one there. I can look at it from that point and think, because the area I'm looking at here is that area where there's a change of direction. That kind of change. So you take all that space there out. Don't know why I turned that round. And then from there you can look at the shoulder to where the start of the neck is. From there, measure the inside of the neck there, from here. Actually, that was already measured, but you can measure it from this perspective as well. It's kind of that tilt to it. And there you go, that's already put in a shape for the neck. I'm not going to put any perfect detail in Martina's face because I'd like to do that separately. She's got such a good figure and face to study that I'm glad she's one of my open-minded friends who knows this is purely for art and studying the human form. Just for future reference, in case you were wondering, I have talked to her about this and she said it was okay. That's the inside of the neck, so what we're going to look at here is where her top is. Got to look at this bit, measure it, and see this is where you look at certain lines like this one. It isn't that long because it's that bit there. While you zoom in, zoom out again from my, because I'm looking at it from a distance. And so you can use perspective lines to pretty much map out the whole body. It's just knowing in your own mind's eye what you're putting and where. Because if not, you can get very confused. But from this, we could basically make a full drawing. You could put another piece of paper on top of this, stick it on a light box, see it through it, and then draw all these lines out, all these important lines that you've mapped out from all those perspective lines. That's why I'd encourage you to give it a go. It might not work for you, not all artists are the same. That's not what I was taught at school. My teacher would come up to me and say, well, this bit should be over here. And to be honest, at the time I thought you shouldn't be doing that to another person's work. And what I was actually thinking in my mind is, I want to stab my pencil through your hand. Draw your own drawings. Don't draw on others. I think it's rude doing that. Because then if that person took their piece of artwork home to study and learn from it, they can't do it because someone else has drawn on it. That was a long time ago. Martina's got such a beautiful face and body that I just want to turn that into one of the angel pictures I used to do. She's beautiful. It's always better if the kind of person you find attractive in your mind's eye, if you can find them in stock images, which I'll talk about in another video, you're going to be able to draw them better, because you're just going to take an instant, yes, I can draw that. So that is a good way to start, is find people you like the look of, that click with you when you look at the photograph. And another perspective line there. And that'll then I'm going to put this shape in. And that is a basic explanation of perspective lines and how to work from negative space. Like I said, those 3 areas, you can basically map the whole of the body out with that. So I'll leave it there, post this video, and I hope this has helped.